You have been reciting a mistranslation your entire life. You have heard it at funerals. You have seen it cross-stitched on pillows. You have repeated it in your darkest financial moments, hoping the words would somehow act as a shield against the anxiety keeping you awake at 3 in the morning. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. It sounds beautiful. It sounds comforting. But the English language did something devastating to that ancient text. It inserted a parasite into the spiritual DNA of the verse. It introduced a timeline, and it introduced a feeling of perpetual distance, locking millions of believers into a cycle of permanent waiting. If your financial life feels like you are constantly chasing a horizon you can never quite reach, the problem might not be your work ethic. The problem might not even be your faith. The problem might be the linguistic frequency you are unconsciously broadcasting into the field every single time you pray. There is a deep bone-level fatigue that comes from living in the frequency of tomorrow. You pray for the breakthrough. You tithe. You work an extra shift. You sacrifice your sleep, your peace, and your time with your family. You do everything the system told you to do, and yet the needle barely moves. You watch other people step into massive provision with an effortless grace, while you feel like you are trying to pry pennies from the closed hands of a reluctant universe. You carry a heavy, silent frustration, the kind of frustration you cannot bring up in church, because someone will immediately accuse you of lacking faith, or worse, of being too focused on the material world, so you swallow it. You smile. You put $20 in the offering plate while secretly wondering how you will buy groceries on Thursday, and you go back to surviving. If that silent exhaustion lives in your bones right now, I need you to pause. Just drop a comment below and tell me exactly what it feels like in your physical body when you look at your bank account and realize it is not enough. Does your chest tighten? Does your throat close? Do your hands get cold? Does a quiet panic start ringing in your ears? Do not write a theological answer. Just give me the raw, human truth. By speaking it, you pull the hidden trauma out of the dark. Now listen to what happens when we look past the English translation of Psalm 23 and examine the actual mechanics of the ancient Hebrew text. The original script does not say, "I shall not want." In the English phrase, the word "shall" pushes the provision into the future. It creates a time delay. It tells your nervous system that the solution is not here right now, but it is coming later. It forces you to brace for impact in the present. And the word "want" implies a deep, aching desire, a state of longing for something you do not currently possess. When you repeat that English phrase, you are unintentionally running a program of Christian quantum manifestation in reverse. You are telling the universe, "I am looking forward to a day when my intense feelings of lack will finally be satisfied." You are declaring your emptiness as your current reality. But the Hebrew text operates on a completely different framework of physics. The original words are YHWH roi lo echsar. Let us break that down, because this is an abundance Bible code that bypasses all traditional religious struggle. YHWH is not just a name. It is the unpronounceable, eternal, self-existing quantum field of reality. It means the one who was, and is to come, happening all at once. It is the infinite reservoir of all matter and energy before it takes physical form. Roi means my feeder, my companion, the one who leads me to pasture. It implies an active, unbroken, highly personal connection. It is not a distant supervisor, it is a present guide. Lo is an absolute definitive negation. It does not mean maybe not or not tomorrow or hopefully not. It means an erasure, a complete, mathematical non-existence. Echsar means a vacuum, a void, a decrease, a state of lacking. It is the specific condition of not having enough to sustain life. So the literal, structural translation is not a poetic hope for a better tomorrow. It is a present tense quantum singularity. The eternal field is feeding me. Therefore, the frequency of lack is deleted. David was not saying that God would eventually give him the things he wanted. He was stating a Bible quantum law. He was recognizing that the presence of the infinite field absolutely neutralizes the existence of a void. To understand the weight of this, you have to remember who wrote it. David was not born in a palace. He spent his early years smelling like sheep, completely ignored by his own father. When he was anointed king, he did not get a throne, he got a death warrant. He spent years living in caves, running from Saul, surviving on whatever he could forage, hiding in the dirt. He knew exactly what a vacuum felt like. He knew what physical and emotional lack tasted like. So when David wrote Lo Echsar, he was not writing from the comfortable ignorance of a wealthy king. He was writing as a man who had discovered how to manipulate the fabric of reality while he was still living in a cave. He realized that his physical circumstances did not dictate his access to the field. In quantum physics, there is a concept regarding mutually exclusive states. Two opposing states cannot occupy the exact same coordinate in space and time. Light and absolute darkness cannot coexist in the same millimeter of space. Where the photon is, the darkness ceases to be. It is not that the darkness is hiding. It is that the darkness is structurally eradicated by the presence of the light. David understood that where YHWH is, the vacuum of poverty ceases to be. When you grasp this, your entire internal architecture shifts. You realize that quantum Bible wealth is not about begging God to send money from a distant heaven. It is about recognizing that you are already standing inside the field of absolute sufficiency. You are not trying to attract wealth from across the universe. You are trying to stop blocking the wealth that is already occupying your space. If you can feel the gravity of that shift, if you can feel the desperation leaving your shoulders right now, just quietly leave a like. Let that small action be a physical agreement with your own spirit. A silent bodily declaration that you are done living in the frequency of the void. You see, the reason most people never experience the reality of financial breakthrough scripture is because they are trapped in the vibration of want. Wanting is a parasitic frequency. Let us look at the quantum observer effect. Physics tells us that particles exist in a wave of infinite probability until they are observed. The act of observation collapses the wave into a single physical reality. But the observer does not just watch passively. The observer's state of consciousness influences how the wave collapses. When you want something, your brain is actively focusing on the fact that you do not have it. The law of attraction Bible principles are clear. The field responds to who you are, not just what you ask for. If your dominant state of being is, I want, the universe will faithfully reflect that state back to you. It will collapse the wave of probability into more experiences of wanting. It will give you unexpected bills so you can keep wanting. It will delay your promotion so you can keep wanting. It will make sure your car breaks down the exact week you finally save $1,000 so you can return to your familiar state of almost having enough. The Hebrew deletion code of Psalm 23 neutralizes this completely. Lo Echsar, the void is deleted. Lack does not exist here. You are not trying to manifest money biblical style by visualizing cash dropping from the ceiling or repeating hollow affirmations in the mirror. You are simply stepping into the ancient truth that the shepherd field is already active, and therefore, the state of decrease is structurally impossible. This is not a mindset trick. This is a profound recalibration of your spiritual DNA. You are collapsing the time delay between petition and possession. You are no longer waiting for a miracle. You are inhabiting the finished reality. When you delete the frequency of want, you stop telling the quantum field that you are empty. You start telling it that you are full, and the field has no choice but to organize the physical world to match that instruction. Because this requires such a radical untangling of the religious conditioning we have all been subjected to, I built something specifically to help you bridge the gap. I created the Quantum Wealth Scripture Journal. It is a 30-day immersion into exactly this kind of revelation. It pairs raw biblical truth with quantum wealth activations, daily reflections, and highly practical money moves. It is designed to take these massive, ancient concepts and ground them into your daily habits, literally rewiring your nervous system for wealth. It breaks the habit of asking like a beggar and builds the habit of receiving like an heir. The link is in the description and pinned in the first comment. When you are ready to stop waiting and start possessing, that is exactly where you begin. Let the reality of the deletion code settle deeper into your mind. Imagine a sheep standing in a massive, endless meadow of green grass. The sheep does not look at the grass directly under its hooves and suddenly start worrying about whether there will be grass 3 miles away next Tuesday. It does not pull up the grass by the roots and hoard it in a pile. It does not pray for the grass to multiply. It does not negotiate with the shepherd for a better patch of land. The sheep does not want. It simply eats. It exists in a state of absolute sufficiency, deeply connected to the present moment, and entirely trusting the shepherd to guide it to the next patch when the time comes. When you truly activate this quantum wealth scripture in your life, the frantic hustling stops. The desperate, sweaty prayers for survival cease. The obsession with hoarding every dollar out of fear completely dissolves. You begin to move through the marketplace, through your business, through your career with a strange, magnetic calm. When an unexpected bill arrives, your chest does not cave in. You do not spiral into panic. You do not immediately start running catastrophic scenarios in your mind. Your internal response is low echsar. The void is an illusion. The field of my shepherd is active, and the supply is already here. This level of faith and quantum physics operating together creates a phenomenon that the secular world cannot explain. They call it luck. They call it privilege. They call it being born under a lucky star. They call it an unfair advantage. We know it as the quantum prosperity formula. It is the ancient rhythm of knowing that the source is not your employer, your clients, or the global economy. Your employer is simply a channel. Your business is simply a channel. If one channel dries up, the shepherd simply moves you to another patch of grass. The source itself, the eternal present, never dries up. When you speak from this place, your words carry an entirely different weight. You are no longer a petitioner negotiating with a closed door. You are an heir simply recognizing the assets that have already been placed in your account. You use biblical wealth hacks not to manipulate the divine, but to align your own rigid, terrified mind with the flowing, effortless current of divine completion. If this message is resonating with something deep and ancient inside of you, I want to invite you to subscribe. This space is not for everyone. It is a doorway for those who are ready to move beyond the shallow waters of generic religion and step into the actual mechanics of the kingdom. We are building a community of people who refuse to read the text through the lens of poverty. People who read the text with open eyes and walk in the power of the field. And for those of you who have been quietly walking this journey with me, returning to these videos because they feed a part of you that nothing else touches, there is a channel membership available. It is a sacred, quiet way to hold up the arms of this work. It allows me to keep researching, writing, and speaking these truths into the world without compromise. Members also receive early access to everything we create. If you feel a genuine pull to support this space, your presence there is deeply honored. Now, take a slow, deep breath. Feel the physical space in your chest where the anxiety about tomorrow usually lives. The tension about rent, about debt, about the rising cost of living. The heavy, dark weight that tells you that you will always be a little bit behind, always struggling, always fighting for scraps. I want you to look directly at that tension and realize it is a ghost. It is a lingering echo of a translation error. It is a lie masquerading as realism. You have been living in the illusion of the vacuum. But the shepherd is here. The field is active. The frequency of lack has been entirely deleted from your spiritual coordinates. There is someone you know who is drowning in the frequency of want. Someone who loves God but is physically deteriorating under the weight of financial panic. They are trying so hard to have faith, but they are using words that keep them trapped in tomorrow. They are begging for grass while standing in the middle of a meadow. Send this to them. Do not preach at them. Do not correct their theology. Just hand them the code. This revelation was never meant to be hoarded by a few people. It is meant to break chains. You do not have to wait for the grass to grow. You are already standing in the meadow. The void is gone. Speak the code. Walk in the field. And watch the Abundance Bible manifest in every single area of your life.